So we can find the left and right behavior of our graph, again, if we base it just on what we're looking at here. And the simplest comparison, which is the y equals x. So it's an odd function, so we know it's going to be based off of this, but there's a negative in front, so it gets reflected. So this would be y equals negative x. And so this is the pattern that it fits. It's going to go up and to the left, down and to the right. And when you look at the y-intercept, is the value of y, or the function, when x is 0. So 0 makes each of these terms 0, leaving just the constant 10. Okay, so again, we can find that very quickly. Right, in order to find the remaining pieces, though, we need to plug our equation into the y-editor. So I'll access the y-editor, and I'll enter negative x to the 5th plus 5x cubed minus 4x plus 10. And make sure it reads exactly how you expected it to read. So negative x squared plus 5x cubed minus 4x plus 10. So I confirm that that's good. And then when I view this, so I go to my graph, what's going to happen, and what you guys probably found, is you can't see the entire graph or where the change of directions occur. Okay, so you need to adjust this. Be careful adjusting it. This F2 zoom, if you use that and you try to zoom fit, it winds up, it messes up the viewing windows and it makes it hard to read. You can't distinguish what it is. What we can see right here is all we're missing is these y's. We need to increase our y maximum a little bit. So if I go to my window settings, which is green diamond F2, I'm going to change my, everything looked fine except my maximum y value. I'm just going to double that, make it a 20. And I'm going to go back and look at my graph. Now, it turns out that this works just fine. I might have had to increase it even more if I didn't see my my change of directions there. You can, but in this case, it winds up screwing up your window settings, and it doesn't give you a good view of that. All right. So now I see I only have one x-intercept. So again, to me, it's more efficient just to stay in this graphing utility instead of going to the home screen to solve, and just use the zero, or use the zero calculation in the F5 Math tab. So if I go F5 Math tab, choose 0, choose a lower bound. So again, I could leave it where I am, but anything to the left of this point is my lower bound. Go to the right of my intersection. So again, my cursor is right here. As I hit the next button over, it moves way down here, so it's hard to see. But you could even just type in a number. You could type in 5 or 10 if you wanted to, and it'll move it to that spot. But anything to the right of that intersection, hit enter, and you find the coordinates of your x-intercept. So you get 2.26 approximately. And again, it doesn't matter what it says. -1 times 10 to the -12. We know that the x-intercept is going to have a y value of 0. This answer, whatever this calculated answer is, when you round it, is 0 anyway, right? It's -0 point, and then 11 zeros, and then a 1, so it's still a value of 0. Okay, so my last little bit is to find the relative max and min points. So how many maximum points are there here? The maximum points are kind of the hills. So here's a maximum, here's a maximum. So we have 2 max. Then how many minimums? The minimums are these valleys. So we have a minimum here and a minimum here. So we're going to have 2 of each. So you do need to go in and you need to individually find these. And the way that you find the relative max and mins, again, under F5 Math tab, choose, let's go maximums first. Okay, so one of our maximum points is this. So we need to go for a lower bound somewhere to the left of that intersection. So about here is the maximum. Go to the left of it and below it. And then the upper bound is going to be somewhere to the right and below. So here would be to the right and below that. Hit enter and I can write in my coordinates. So -0.54 as my x and 11.42 approximately is my y. So here's my one relative maximum. I have another relative maximum right here, so I'm going to use F5 Math tab again. Maximum. Click somewhere to the left of that maximum point that's below it, so this one will work. And then for my upper bound, click somewhere to the right and below. So this will work. And I get my second relative maximum, 1.64 and 13.63 as my set of coordinates. I do the same thing with the minimums. I have a minimum here and here, so I'm going to use F5, number 3, the minimum. Pick a point as my lower bound to the left, and now it's left and above. So here's a point that's to the left and above of that minimum. My upper bound has to be to the right and above. So again, as long as it's to the right and it sits higher than that y-coordinate, I can hit enter, and I'll get my coordinates for this. Negative 1.64 and 6.37. And then do the last one. Again, F5, minimum. Here's my other minimum. So pick somewhere to the left and above that point, which is where my graph sits now, my cursor. Pick an upper bound somewhere to the right and above that point, and then that'll give you your coordinates for that relative minimum value. So 0.54 and 8.58. Okay, the final step is to evaluate this. Again, you could go back to the home screen and do it, but it's just as easy to do here. F5, choose the value, substitute in the value of x that you're evaluating for. Oops. -2, hit enter, and it gives you the value that you're looking for.